Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
I'm here to tell you guys, we've been contacted by the Coffee Festival or the Coffee to go over and do pods. So congratulations, guys. You're going international.
Remember when Oprah did that thing? We are going to... she said Australia, but she had the plane tickets underneath, and John Travolta flew the plane.
Yes.
Took all of her fans
I
to
do
Sydney.
remember.
I heard a rumor John Travolta's moving to Australia because he's no longer famous enough for America. He's not getting recognized or any brand deals, but in Australia he still gets recognized, so he's moving here.
Didn't he just do a Super Bowl ad for T-Mobile?
Yeah, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. He's just going for it. But yeah, because he was like the Qantas, the pilot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my next question is, tomorrow you had a shoot organised with Bernie.
Yeah.
But we also had that Meadsmith meeting. I'll have to go to that alone, I guess. It's not a lunch anyway.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just go with that. Cool.
right,
that was the main reason.
Let's get back to the coffee break. Let's get back to the coffee break.
I'll get out of here.
Do you want to stay for any of the coffee break?
You guys have got a call, don't you? Have you guys got Scott coming in a minute, don't you?
Yeah, we're going to do the coffee break.
All right. I'll give you 2 seconds.
All right.
All right, so this is actually we've got Sonam here, business partner, best
We
friend.
need a camera on you. Hold on.
No, you don't need a camera. Don't need a camera.
Um,
I'm just going to talk in sign language.
So one of the interesting things I was just saying, Matt Perger talking about AI in coffee, one of the things he just came straight out the bat was he's like, yeah, there are things that are happening, but he's like, you're not going to see these crazy leaps and these crazy jumps because there's no money in coffee. The AI right now is just being put in fields where it's going to make trillions of dollars and you're not going to make that much money. There's not much juice to squeeze. So it's like we're not going to see crazy jumps in the near future from AI anyway.
No, it'll just be third-party hacking, yeah? Someone reskinning something and then making it look better. Kind of like what Apple does already with other people's products.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't really invent new products. They just absorb them, make them better, make them more user-friendly. If someone says something's a coffee AI, you believe them. But all it is an LLM that's been trained off something like Perger's technology or Perger's IP.
Yeah.
And then you think it's AI.
We were talking about before how, all of his content may have been dumped into these large language models, right? So like it might be forming content that's already within ChatGPT, for example.
Yeah, just packaged really badly. So it'll come down to how he can package it, turn it into his own LLM. And then,
So those language learning is like kind of one that feels the easiest, but it was looking at things like roasting where it's like, ideally with AI, you could make roasters obsolete where it's like, it knows all the curves, it knows all the best profiles, it knows how to like adjust and do it. But he's like, but someone has to build this. An engineer has to build this and no one's going to because there's no money in it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be number one on the list.
Yes.
Is kind of what he was getting.
Yeah,
at.
maybe later down the line, but not in the near future.
Yeah, and the AI already exists, to the level that it needs to with Cropster and those different things where you're recording the data and then you can transfer the data over to other people.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as it can go.
Yeah.
As far as it probably should go.
I guess it's not learning as much, right, from that data.
It's not that learning and then using that data. You have to interpolate the data.
Well, yeah, it's not like when you finish your roast on Cropster that you type in the tasting profile of the coffee and what it was like, right? It's not like you're getting the end result.
Yeah, you can't be like, roast this coffee to taste like blueberries, raspberries, and mascarpone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, and one thing I kind of imagine it being able to do, I guess, in the future is being able to scan and analyze a bean and then being able to just calculate a roast trajectory, I guess. In theory, that sounds like it could work, but I guess to build that system would take some time. One thing I want to ask Sonam of, hot off the press, we kind of discussed that like in a world where everything's so advanced because of AI, that the value of sort of an artisanal experience might not ever be higher because you think about, put yourself in that scenario where, everything's concrete jungle. Then you're like, all right, my morning experience in a world full of technology. I go see this guy who's actually manually using a coffee machine and has charisma and taste and all these things. Do you agree? What's your thought?
100%. You look at the Japanese and you look at what they do with indigo denim, yeah? It's like the ultimate parlance to it. It's like, it's $500 for a pair of these jeans. Beautiful jeans, handcrafted. No one else is ever going to have jeans like this ever again in their life. It's got a worldwide guarantee. You come back and you can send it back to them. They'll re-dye it. They'll take the hem in. They'll do whatever they need to do. But it's $500, and that's a kick in the face of fast fashion, which is what AI kind of is.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you bring up Japan and their crafting because Perger said on the podcast, his hot take is that Japan is now the mecca of coffee and they've taken over from Australia.
Oh, of course they have. They've got a very they've got a slogan. It's called Teme Himo. It's called Time and Patience, or I think it's Time and Hand, something along those lines. It's been a while since I've been back, but it's essentially the 10,000 hours thing, and it's part of their culture that they dedicate themselves to something, and they go, we do one thing and we do it exceptionally well, and it goes down the line. I watched a documentary the other day on how they prepare bonito, and they're just like, gets passed down through families. Yeah. No one else gets into it.
When I went to Japan, I went in 2019, and Matt actually referred me to some restaurants to go to. One of them was called Butagumi. So I think it's like pig. Buta means pig or something in Japanese. And basically it was a tonkatsu restaurant where you could choose from anywhere up to like, I think it was 50 different cuts of meat to have as tonkatsu. So like, all right, so this section of the pig as a fried pork cutlet, but like 50 different like styles or whatever. I was like, that is unbelievable. It is, to this day, I think the best meal I've ever had in my life.
Well, it's interesting. I would say when I was over in Japan, it was probably 15 years ago, and it was like the boom of specialty coffee in Australia. And I will say that when I was there, the coffee in Japan, and I went to like the best places you're meant to go to, wasn't at that level. And I'd love to go back now because I'm sure it's just like elevated. You
guys might know the show, but I've watched this show where they do like a cheap, middle, and then super expensive version of like everything. So,
it's Worth It.
Worth It, yeah. So there was a Worth It on Japanese coffee, but like the big one, to my surprise, was actually like this barrel-aged cold brew or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a, figure Sophia game.
The first one that they do, this $1 a cup over there, that is the darkest roasted coffee I've ever seen. Yeah. Look it up now, Worth It Japan coffee.
Japan, yeah.
And the second one is the nice one. The second one is just like the specialty coffee, like nice stuff.
Yeah.
But the first coffee, I was like nearly sick looking at it. It looked like tar.
Yeah, that looked dank.
Just to insert my holidays into this, I was recently on holidays in New Zealand, and one of Claire, my partner, one of her cousins has recently taken a liking to coffee.
Oh, yeah.
How many times do you reckon I got told about his coffee experience in Japan?
Every day.
Yeah. Speaking of Japan, I've got a friend that just opened up a venue in Auckland called Juno. So if you listen and you're traveling to Auckland, go to Juno.
I actually
speaking of New Zealand.
Yeah.
You said speaking of Japan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Speaking of New Zealand?
Sorry, I was like, is like Juno a Japanese name? I was like, what's happening?
Oh, it's great. But he spent apparently $1,000 on coffee at an omakase experience.
Wow. That's what we're talking about. We were talking because Matt was saying he thinks the skill level of like making the coffee might be higher as well, but he was like, where they're really elevating is the experience side of it, which I think is exactly where it needs to be elevated.
Yeah, and 1,000 New Zealand dollars is worth like what, 10 rubles?
If you're getting I asked this question to Matt and Rohan. If you're getting, let's say, like a really crazy coffee that's worth like $300 a cup, it's this. You get it made by two people. It's the same everything, same quality. Who do you want it delivered by? The Japanese person or the Australian?
Japanese,
exactly. All day, every day. And I'm the Australian, like pure cracker, Scottish, whatever.
No.
I'm choosing the Japanese person.
Can we call you post-Italian?
From this conversation.
Can we call you post-Italian? You were Italian like 2 weeks ago.
Post-Italian. I'm off that.
Just before I leave, extra hot take for you guys.
Oh, God, here we go.
New Zealand pies are the best pies in the world, and you can't change my mind.
New Zealand pies are better than Australian pies.
Better than any pie.
You've done the Ted aesthetics there. You can't change my mind.
Mate, I went and tried all different types of pies. I tried the classic pies. I tried the fusion pies. I tried the Polynesian specific pies. I even had a hangi pie.
Hangi pie?
Hangi pie. Unbelievable.
What's a hangi pie?
A hangi is a ground oven. It's when they dig the big hole in the ground, cook everything, like light the fires, then cook everything and wrap it all up. Usually it was the one that I had was like pork belly, sweet potato, and a gravy inside of a pie. It was unreal.
Like minimum 10 hours in the ground, like minimum.
I think I've had a pie before made for me by like a friend where he like really slow cooked the meat, and it was just like, I'm a vegetarian nowadays, but that was pretty damn good.
What made it better than Australian pies? Because I think there'll be a lot of Aussies hearing this that'll be quite upset with you.
The casing is elite, yeah. They really take a lot of care on theirs. The structure of the pie itself, it's cooked all the way through at the bottom. You've got the flake on the edge. I actually cut a pie in half and did a cross section and showed Rohan. I was like, Rohan, have a look at the cross section of this thing. This is a thing of beauty. So I'm gathering that the pastry is probably blind baked. Then they're putting in the filling, and then they're putting the topping in. That's a few more processes.
You know who I want to have a crack at making a pie? The loon croissant people, because they do everything with precision, right? So they've got this like temperature controlled thing. Is there a loon pie on the horizon? Like you guys have got them.
Kate Reid. friend of the show.
Yeah.
Loon needs to make the great Aussie pie. Take it global. I want the best pie that's ever been made.
Like one time only, like one release. We never have to do it again.
Camera over here. Sonam has goosebumps thinking about the Loon pie.
I don't know how we got here, but Loon, will you please develop the pie of Sonam's dreams?
Imagine if we changed Kate Reid's trajectory. She's known as like the Australian that made the croissant famous, brought over the French techniques, worked in Formula One. And then in 10 years' time, instead of being known as that, she's known as mastered the Aussie pie.
The ultimate dish. The ultimate dish.
Got everything in
Hey,
it.
what's everyone's positions on bagels? I'm a bagel guy as of this morning. I went to a brand new place.
As of this morning.
I went to a brand new place in Collingwood called Massa's Bagels.
Did you get your little matcha?
No, I didn't. I didn't get my little matcha,
did
but
get a matcha the other day,
we
yeah.
did. We'll tell that story next. But anyway, I went and got a bagel. It was beautiful down in Fitzroy. So if you're in the neighborhood and you want to go check something out, something new, Massa's Bagels. I encourage you all.
I've seen them on socials.
Yeah.
The uniform looks great.
I don't know if they'd have a uniform. I think.
Oh, were they just wearing an apron perhaps? It's got like a bit of
Perhaps.
tie-dye sort of vibe to it.
Oh,
Look really
okay.
good.
Yeah, maybe. But the branding's fantastic. The
Yeah.
store looks beautiful.
I'm going to be that wiener that everyone hates right now and be like, lived in the States, lots of time in New York and even San Fran, had some great bagels.
Mhm.
Nowhere in Australia yet has quite mastered it, but there's good ones. But
Well,
there's,
this is a different take on bagels. It's not like the cream cheese salmon deal.
I'm talking about the actual bagel itself. Like,
Oh, okay.
the-
No, well, the texture of these bagels was quite unbelievable because I also got a cardamom and cinnamon one to finish, warmed up with a bit of butter.
yeah.
Five and Dime, are they still around?
Yeah, I think so.
They were always pretty good. The fresh
Yeah.
one from their actual shop, not
Yeah.
when they were wholesaling them stuff.
Violin. Yeah.
Violin's really good.
We've got
Yeah.
a local place called Hank's Bagelry. They're kind of spread around, but they're a listener of the pod as well. We love them.
Oh.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, Liam and I caught up. We did a bit of business research, I guess, market analytics yesterday. So we caught up with a well-known podcaster, Will Anderson.
Oh, we're
You know?
name dropping.
Well, Will Anderson. So a former friend of mine from when I did a little bit of interning at
I'd say
radio.
current
sort of thing.
friend.
Current friend. Anyway, so he was drinking his coffee and I said, try this because I got a nice matcha. And I was like, and
Did he judge you for it, like as you ordered?
no,
Was there any
it's kind
judgment?
of like I don't want to have a coffee at this time in the afternoon. I'll have a matcha even though it's caffeinating. Like I'll try it, whatever. I'll try new things. I'm trying to learn about it. But I was like, have you ever tried this? And he's like, no. Take a sip. And he goes, tastes like I'm licking my lawn.
Yep. That's what we were up with some farmers. That's exactly what they said. It says it smells like the old hay bale out the back.
Lucerne, to be specific.
Yeah, Lucerne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was gritty. But like I'm trying to learn a bit more about it, But anyway, there's levels to it.
And how did the chat with Will go?
Really well. He was really insightful. I feel like we learned quite a lot.
Well,
It was
actually,
amazing.
from what I heard, you guys were saying that he was like, guys, to prep for the meeting, I actually listened to a few of your podcasts. And actually, I want to ask you some questions because it's the greatest podcast that I've ever heard. Is that true?
Yeah. No. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
He
I
was
also-
like,
yeah,
I
I-
can't teach you anything.
I also heard he regrets not trademarking the term Millennium.
Yeah. He hates it.
I'm not in with that one. I don't know.
That's a Will Smith reference. It's a deep cut. Sorry.
Yeah, Will Smith. It's a real, what do you, I mean, you're 30. I was going to say, well, 35 plus.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Well,
It was fantastic that note. The chats, pearls of wisdom and absolute kind of like, if anything, I feel like we left being like, we're doing a pretty good job.
but
we're doing
we've
some
got,
good things.
While we've got the core team here, like I feel like we've grown a lot in the year. Like we were just saying, like I've done. come in, yeah. Bring Senor.
Little teaser. We've got our next guest.
All right.
Has arrived.
Senor, I'm not going to name by name, but come in here, get in frame while we. The
ultimate teaser.
Look into that camera. Crouch down here a bit more. Look who's going to be the guest of the next podcast. Please, Scott, if you could just give us 2 or 3 minutes. I feel like we've had it's grown obviously a lot. Now we're going. It's like a big step forward. That's awesome. But like the listenership's growing. We've been working really hard. I feel like, after 1 year, the reps, the chemistry on air is getting better. I'm just so happy with how it's all going.
It's all time in the seat, isn't it?
Yep,
It
all
is.
time to see. And, we're getting guest after guest. We just had Matt Perger on. Like, that's an excellent get for a podcast.
Great get.
It's coming on in like T-minus 5 minutes.
Well, there goes the teaser.
Unbelievable get.
Yeah, unbelievable get. Huge.
So yeah, no, hats off to all you guys. I think it's like a moment for us on air to our listeners stop and appreciate, enjoy the smell of roses.
Yeah, and I'd really like to pinpoint Liam as well on that because, he's really made the podcast his life and he's dedicating most time of it out of all of us to it. And, it's not an easy thing to do. And where he's learnt everything on the fly, he came in here and he's like, I was on The Voice. We're like, cool. And then he's like, no, seriously, I know audio. And then we were like, oh shit, he knows everything about audio. Well, surely he can produce a podcast.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He's getting produce a podcast.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, are you going next month? Okay. All right.
Been there, done that.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up there.
Yep.
Get into the next podcast.
Again, I can't wait to start getting in a steady flow. I want to have coffee on the table for every episode from different roasters from around the world. I want to sample. I want to shout you out. So reach out to us via email, hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. And you can also hit us up on the socials. We love hearing from you. We love getting your comments. I'm definitely going to be getting in there and replying to a bit more. So thank you. We just had my statements from last week's ep about home baristas making better coffee than most cafes now. Got a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Got a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And support.
Yeah. And support. Yeah. People were there for it.
It's 100% true though.
Yeah. Kirk's face.
in droves. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be keen to ask Scott about this actually in the next
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
So-
You're telling me mid-rush, someone's making a better coffee than me taking 10 minutes to make a coffee in the morning?
Exactly. Facts.
at the right cafe, yeah, absolutely. Like, yes, the capacity's there.
I've seen the numbers from like the analytics of like where they have
But you're assuming most of the population can they can
telemetry-
actually
yeah, the
like,
telemetry.
I'm looking
and
at
stuff.
telemetry from some of the best cafes in Australia, like world barista standard cafes that are like hitting 60% efficiency on a like across the whole day to 60 to 70%. It's like well out.
Numbers don't
Well,
lie.
if you're bringing the telemetry.
well,
All right, that brings us to the end of Coffee Break. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
all right. Hooroo.
Sorry for bombing it, guys.
No, that was good. I like it.